I've had my 6-year-old daughter Layla staying with me for a bit. My ex-wife is at an adults-only resort in St. Lucia with her sorry excuse of a boyfriend. It's been great having her here, as I usually only get to see her every other weekend, although she has spent a lot of time in front of the TV. Layla is currently obsessed with a TV show called Patti Pepperoni's Playhouse. I'd never heard of it until last week, though I'm not really one for cartoons these days anyway. I didn't pay too much of attention to the show at first. I heard the sickly, sweet intro theme, followed by an obnoxious, high-pitched voice, and I left her to it. It seems to be on a lot. I hear the phone ringing.
You should come over Friday. We're having a barbecue and getting a bounce castle for the kids.
Is it just for the kids?
If you bring beer, you can have a go too.
Sweet! I just hope Layla can go a day without that awful Pepperoni show.
What one?
I don't know, Poppy Pepperoni or something like that.
What's it called?
Hold on, it's called Patti Pepperoni's Playhouse.
Nope, I've never heard of it.
Bizarre.
It sounds awful.
It really is. Truth be told, I hadn't actually watched any to make that judgment. Maybe my daughter had discovered some obscure underground cartoon. It prompted me to do a bit of online research. Patti Pepperoni's Playhouse. No exact Google results. That's weird. I even searched the TV guide and no results came up there either. Yesterday I sat on the sofa with the intention of watching the show properly. Layla sat on the carpet cross-legged. Don't sit too close to the television, sweetheart. You'll get square eyes. You can't get square eyes, Daddy. Says who? Shush, it's coming on. That put me in my place. The intro theme started, then the multicolored bubbly font appeared on the screen. Patti Pepperoni's Playhouse. The show opened inside a playroom with lots of toys and a blackboard, like in a classroom. From the left, Patti Pepperoni skipped into frame in a yellow dress with orange polka dots. It was that stop-motion style of animation, like she was made from plasticine. She had red hair in bunches at the sides. It looked like cotton wool or something. Her cheeks had big orange freckles and dimples. Her face was kind of roundish, and her eyes were wide. She reminded me of one of those weird Cabbage Patch Kids my sister had. Actually, Garbage Pail Kids is more accurate. Honestly, she looked creepy. If it was an actual kid, it would be the sort of thing that would give me nightmares. But Layla loved it for some reason. Patti gave a big toothy smile and waved.
Hey kids, it's me, Patti Pepperoni.
Her voice was like a grown woman trying to sound like a child.
On today's show, we're going to...
As she gasps loudly, her hands cover her mouth. She just stared at the screen like she'd been caught off guard by something. Every so often she would blink and her eyes would look to the side briefly before looking back. The camera alternated between a close-up of her face and a long shot of her whole person. I swear it felt like she was looking right at me. I'm a grown man and that made the hairs on my arms stand up and a shiver run down my spine. Sweetheart, what's she doing? I asked Layla. I don't know. It might be because you're here, Daddy. My stomach dropped. That's impossible, darling, I said, doubting the words that came out of my mouth. These types of shows are made and filmed in the past, months ago. Layla shook her head. Patti Pepperoni isn't like that, Daddy. She's different. My eyes began to glaze over as I stared into Patti's. A feeling of dread setting in. I noticed beads of sweat appeared on her forehead, though they looked like they were made from the jelly in a pork pie. As if she could sense how screwed up I thought it was. She closed her eyes and let out a childish laugh.
Tee-hee! Sorry, kids. You know, Patti forgets her lines sometimes.
She does, Daddy, said Layla, turning to me and laughing. Patti wiped her brow with the back of her hand, laughing uncomfortably.
Let's sing the Pepperoni song.
Layla cheered. Patti tilted her head from side to side as a tune played and she sang. Layla started clapping and singing along. Macaroni, mascarpone, cannelloni, pepperoni. Minutes passed by and the song is still going. It was the same ridiculous words over and over again. As it went on, Patti began to look increasingly more uncomfortable. Sweetheart, how long does this song go on for? Shush, Daddy. Carponi, cannelloni. I picked myself up from the sofa and slowly left the room, feeling Patti's eyes on me the whole time. It was strange. This morning, I sat in the kitchen and I heard the opening music. It made me shudder. I got up and crept to the living room, hiding on the other side of the doorframe just to listen.
Hey kids, it's me, Patti Pepperoni.
There was a moment of silence, then quietly,
Psst, is it just us?
my stomach dropped. Yeah, my daddy's in the kitchen, said Layla. I covered my mouth with my hand. Did I just hear that correctly?
Good. We have to be quiet so he doesn't hear us.
My heart was working overtime. I heard the distinct sound of chalk on a blackboard.
Can you read this, Layla?
Did she just say my daughter's name? Yeah, I'm good at reading.
Clever girl,
said Patti.
I need you to follow these instructions carefully.
I wanted to get out of the house, but instead I took a deep breath and entered the living room. Patti was looking down at my daughter. As she looked up and saw me, she gasped, quickly using an eraser to wipe the board clean. I wasn't focusing properly, but I definitely made out the words bedroom, night, and dad before it was erased. Patti turned and looked from side to side with her hands behind her back, an awkward smile on her face.
And that's how we construct a sentence.
Her eyes kept flicking to the sides.
Now let's see if you can count to 20. Ready? Here we go.
Layla, sweetheart, I said. She turned around. I need you to go to your room for 5 minutes. Patti continued to count slowly. I noticed those jellified beads of sweat had appeared on her forehead again. Why, Daddy? I'm watching Patti Pepperoni. Just for 5 minutes, sweetie. Daddy needs to do something. I'll take you for ice cream later if you're a good girl.
11.
But you can have anything you want. Layla sighed. Okay, but I'm having the biggest thing. Bye, Patti. I saw Patti's eyes frantically looking around as my daughter left the room.
17.
Drop the act, I said, crashing over me to scream. One of Patti's eyes closed like she had a trapped nerve in her eyelid.
20.
Well done, kids. I knew you could do it. I knocked on the screen.
Oh, Pepperoni.
My hands were trembling. Why are you talking to my little girl, huh? Her lips started to tremble as she tried to smile.
We just have time for the Pepperoni song,
she said through gritted teeth.
Sing along with me, kids. Ready?
The tune started playing as she sang, tilting her head from side to side. My daughter won't be watching your show anymore. The sweat was getting thicker and her eyes kept blinking independently. So long, Patti, I said, picking up the remote. She stopped singing, just staring at me. Then she smiled.
Do you think that will stop me?
I dropped the remote, my legs giving way. I fell onto the floor. She just stared at me with a smile, her head cocked to the side. Stop you from what? I stuttered. She casually turned and picked up a piece of chalk. Then I could hear it clicking on the blackboard. She had her back to me so I couldn't see what she was doing. Stop you from what? I repeated louder, knocking on the screen again. She moved away from the board to reveal a heart. But it wasn't a traditional Cupid-style heart. It was a detailed biological heart with valves and muscle tissue. As she smiled at me with her hands behind her back like she was completely innocent, the heart became animated. I could see it gently pulsing. Drops of chalky white blood started to squirt from the valves and run down the board. She brought her hands back around, and she was holding a large knife. The camera zoomed into her face.
Oh, you'll see real soon, T.
She winked. Then the screen turned black. I sat frozen on the floor until I heard Layla coming back downstairs, asking where Patti had gone. This afternoon, we went to Caspa's for Sundays. What does Patti say to you? I asked as we dug into oversized glasses of cream sprinkles and chocolate sauce. Layla shrugged. I'm not supposed to say. It's a secret. Don't keep secrets from Daddy, sweetheart. I said, trying my best to stay composed. Is she scary? Does she say bad things? She shook her head. No, she likes me. She said if I do what she says, I can meet her for real. My face started to become pale. I took her hand and squeezed it perhaps a little too hard. Don't do what she says, Layla. Don't you dare. She started to look upset. Why? Patty's my friend. Don't listen to her, Layla. Promise me. I was unaware of how loud I was. I had plenty of judgmental eyes on me as Layla started to cry. I'm sorry, sweetheart, I said, putting my arm around her. Daddy's just scared. We went home. I broke the bad news of no more television, but gave her the good news about going to Uncle Jeff's tomorrow and the bouncy castle. She told me she didn't care and barely spoke 2 words to me for the rest of the day. I've been trying to process what happened. Has anyone else heard of this Patti Pepperoni? Surely it just can't be my daughter and I. I'm sitting on the sofa in silence as I write this. I'm terrified to put the TV back on. Layla's in bed already, but I heard her bedroom door creak open a little while ago. I was about to call up and ask if she was okay, but I just heard her speak excitedly. My daddy's downstairs. Who is she talking to?